Hi, Jennifer. It's John.
John?
Hi.
Here, let me put my glasses back on.
Yeah,
Hi.
haven't seen you since Paris.
I know, but we have talked to you, so that's been nice.
Yes. And as Humphrey Bogart said, we'll always have Paris.
That's right. It might be the
Someday.
only time we have Paris.
Someday again.
That's right.
Great. Love the wallpaper and the pillows.
Yes.
Right? And then I'm on a sofa. Can you see that one?
Lovely. Wanderer, huh?
Yeah, yes.
Nicole, I know my
just-
fabrics.
And I just placed an order for Wanderer for a banquette, actually like a settee based on him sitting his clients in this one.
Wow, fantastic. That's so reassuring when it happens.
Right? So I just completed the order yesterday and the cutting's on its way.
I love it. I wish you'd stop with all these CFAs, you Americans, but
I know.
the conversation.
I asked him, I said, really, is it a critical match?
But also you really, there's certain companies that what we do is so on target, order after order after order, that unless, it's very specific, there are very, very specific patterns and colorways that we might have a bit of a nuance. But in Europe we don't have CFAs. No one asks.
I noticed that after someone has worked with you one or two times, they know to stop asking. So at the beginning, people do sometimes request a CFA of your product, but after they have good luck, then they realize, oh, I don't need a CFA. This is so consistent.
Yeah.
So I'll train him.
Good. I'm counting on you. Challenge, huh?
Exactly. But we have a lot of brands that have stopped offering CFAs. So I think it's going that way. It does in the end, it really does drive up the price of the product. And I think that it's something people need to really I'm hoping that people are becoming more aware of that.
And also when we talk about being environmentally friendly, it's not just printing being more conscious, but every single process we do during the day. And, it's like printing the paper, cutting the fabric, getting it into an envelope, the paper, then the paying for postage.
Right. The fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to get started if that's okay. Good morning. My name is Jennifer Dixon. I am the owner of the Dixon Group showroom here at the Seattle Design Center. And we're going to be joined today by Mikhail Silver. Mikhail is the co-founder and director of Christopher Farr Cloth. She began her career working as a fashion designer for over 15 years in New York and Paris. She then relocated to England to join Mulberry as the head designer for their men's and women's fashion collection. It was there at Mulberry that Mikhail was encouraged to use fabrics from the Mulberry Home collection to do in her fashion lines. And that's where her love of textiles was born. So Mikhail was introduced to Christopher Farr through a mutual friend. And Christopher Farr was known for spearheading contemporary rug design movement. They became fast friends and Christopher Farr Cloth was born. Let's see. Today we are celebrating 20 years with Christopher Farr Cloth. Is that right?
Yeah, this month.
All right. So about Christopher Farr Cloth, it's a London-based design studio. They continue to use the same artisanal printer where all the prints are hand screened. They use a third generation mill in Belgium for all their woven patterns. Mikhail partners and collaborates with designers such as Kit Kemp, Martin Brudnitsky, I hope I said that right, as well as various artists, both living and through archival pieces. So today Mikhail's going to share with us a behind the scenes look of how she works, the creative process and the printing process, and then she's going to unveil the new fall and winter collection for us. So let's see, should we get started with you, Mikhail?
Yes, gosh.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
What can I say after such a fabulous introduction? I think you said everything.
Well, I tried.
So we'll just jump. Thank you, you did a fabulous job. We'll just jump in and take you really into where everything happens. And we were very lucky that on the onset of our journey, we came across a small family-owned printer at the outskirts of London. And we spent a lot of time at the printers designing, developing the collection, talking with the printers and getting feedback and talk in technical information to enable us to develop the collection. So the printer is really our laboratory. That's where everything happens. And I'd like to share a small, very short clip of the printing process. So it's an age of digital printing. We are still committed to hand printing, to screen printing, and all our printing designs, wallpaper and fabric, are all printed at the same print house.
Can we just have access to screen sharing, please, Seattle?
Okay, give me a second. Sorry, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's really exciting, and we are still spending a lot of time at the printer. I think the relationship that we've created with our manufacturers, with our makers, is essential to who we are and how we develop the collection and our signature. I think the fact that we print everything at the same printer allows us to have a consistency of color. There's a handwritten feel to what we do, although we use different artists and archival collections, but that's a little bit later.
I'm Michal Silver, and I'm creative director for Christopher Farr Cloth. The printing process is very detailed, layered, complex. We print at a small artisanal printer. It is one of the only places where you can still hand print and be involved in the process of printing. There's something very authentic about hand printing. The imperfections create this huge amount of beauty. It's that softness and that movement of the hand and the spread of color on the screen that's remarkable. And I love the mistakes. I love the nuances from one production to the other. You can't achieve that hand printing quality with machine printing or digital printing.
So this is a little bit of how the printer, with these long 55-yard tables, 3 tables, we just hand print every day, which is quite remarkable. I'm often asked, how do we choose the designers, the artists, the archival collections that we work with? And I don't have a good answer. I'm just drawn to an original voice, to collections or archival collections that I'm interested in what they're doing, and with work that's relevant to what we are currently interested in. And when we work with our designers, we never work with a very tight frame time. It's very loose, and sometimes we get the collections that we develop a collection and it takes us a few months, and at times it takes 2 years. Specifically this collection that I'll be introducing in a few minutes. When we work with contemporary designers, people like Nisha Crosland, she's a British textile designer, or Martin Bredinsky, it's a conversation. You might know Martin for his very iconic, very hotels and restaurants, the nightclub Annabelle's in London that he just recently finished, or the Beekman in New York, the Surf Club restaurant in Miami. So we work with different temperaments, with different ideas. We then work with archival collections as well. We work with people like Raoul Dufy, or Annie Albers, who was a student in the Bauhaus at the beginning of the 20th century, with teachers such as Clay, Kandinsky, Joseph Albers. It's a school that saw no division between arts and crafts. So there's a real mixture of temperaments and ideas that brought into the collection by the different artists that we work with. For this season, we have been working with Makoto Kashigama. This is a Japanese ceramist and a sort of very well-known secret to his followers and his collectors. He works on in several different techniques of ceramics, which is quite a radical approach for Japanese ceramists. Usually they tend to stay and work in one traditional way. He's mixing different ways of creating his patterns and designing his plates. All his plates are one-offs. So once you purchase one, that's the only one that's around. He comes from a family of craftsmen. His grandfather was a doll maker. So he's sort of he has reminiscence, souvenirs, memories of visiting and spending time with his grandfather in his studio. He lives in the remote island of Kyushu, surrounded by fields and vegetation. He's an avid gardener, and you see that love for floral, for animals, for everything that's nature in his plates. So when we started collaborating, I thought it would be a really simple process. We're going to select some of his plates. We'll create a repeat, we'll enlarge it, we'll play around with it, and we'll try to emulate the feeling of the clay on the textiles, on the linens that we print on. But Makoto approached it in a very completely different way. He wanted to create a design, a collection that was designed with the characteristics of the textile. Oops. So what we did is we started working with patterns, and it took us almost 2 years to create the collection because he was very involved and not always very happy with the way we interpreted his ideas. So that was sort of a very collaborative process that took a huge amount of time, and we were just very patient. We let him lead and create the collection. So the first design that we would like to introduce is Array. You can see it, it's a sort of kaleidoscope of colors and patterns. It sort of has a feeling to me of the sort of the cutouts of Matisse. So at the end of his life, he wasn't able to really paint anymore, and he was cutting these paper shapes and putting them all over, and there's a huge amount of movement in those patterns. So this comes in 3 colorways, and that was inspired from one of his plates that he liked and we liked it, and then he created the pattern as a from that specific plate. But Day was completely different story. When Makoto came to London, he gave me his book wrapped. He gave me this book wrapped in this hand-painted muslin that he painted. And it was a very, very sort of loose floral design, and I just was captivated by this gentle movement and the lines and the way the spots of color sort of spread into the background. And we started working with this pattern and creating a repeat, but he was very unhappy with it. He felt that the repeat was contrived because it was a very small cut piece of fabric, and it just didn't really captivate the movement that he wanted. So then he started sending us about 5, 6, 7 different samples, and each time he sent us a new pattern. He said, the line is too wide, it's too strong, the leaves feel too heavy. You know, we just didn't feel comfortable with it, and he just kept sending us one sample after the other in a big repeats of 52 inches. And then until we sort of finally said, yeah, this is it. So this is a 2-color print, but then we print the outline on top of the colors, the flat images of flowers, and we get a 3rd color, and there's some imperfection in that outline, which are really very, very nice. The 3rd pattern is Eden. And Eden is a very typical motif that comes in a lot of his plates. So you see the stem of it, he calls it a tree of life, and then these different blossoms, and we have these peonies and cherry blossoms and poppies. So it's a very, very sort of comes from Japanese florals. And I love the way, if you see it on the right, we introduced this yellow Eden with our trim pop art, and it all works together. Both patterns, Eden to the left and Array to the right, are also introduced as wall covering. We're really excited about Eden because that's printed on cork, and it's the first time that we are working on cork. So it's taking us quite a while to develop that in 4 colors. The cork gives us a very similar feeling, the texture, the imperfections that we see in his ceramics. Array is printed on non-woven wide width paper, and it comes in the 3 colors that we see in our fabrics. We recently started introducing texture in terms of weaves into the collection. Again, we're working with one mill in Belgium. It's a 3rd generation, and they have this appetite for wonderful sourcing, wonderful yarns, and experimenting with textures. They have some very old looms, so that you have some textures that you feel like they are these fabrics that were there for forever. Romney Weave is by Kit Kemp, which really needs no introduction. She is the co-founder or artistic director of the Ferndale Group Hotel. They spearheaded the boutique hotel trend in England about 35 years ago. And they have 2 hotels in New York and working on their 3rd. Kit is all about telling stories, and she does it through color, through patterns, through textures. It's a mixture of modern geometric patterns with ethnic textiles and artifacts, and this mishmash that she creates. And there's always this thread that goes through everything that makes the connection. Is something that we all love. I love that original voice she has. She wrote 3 books, and she's really become a lifestyle guru. Here you see Romney Weave we have it in 4 colors. Below the lowest one, the dark indigo with shades of wine, were very much influenced and inspired by Native American blankets. So we tried to do 4 very, very different colors. The next weave is Todo. We love stripes. Stripes is something that we always love to have in the collection. And that sort of continues the nomadic inspiration and fabrics that we've been introducing in January. So we have hippie, so you see it, hippie to the left, the cushion to the left was hippie, Japura, and Denali that has that sort of feel. Todo is has a very strong sort of a dry hand, feels a little bit like Peruvian blankets with that very pronounced weave, and the color on the sofa is a very new color for us. We've been experimenting with oranges and these terracottas, and we've been introducing them gradually through the collection the last year or two. So here it's really in a very strong way. We always go back and refresh the collection. We look at patterns and designs as we work. And this is Belfour from our first collection with Michael Zell that we introduced in 2003. Michael Zell is the designer, the archival collection behind our most iconic pattern, Carnival, specifically Carnival Green. So we rehashed Belfour, this big oversized ikat pattern, and we introduced it in these bright colors, very much a signature of who we are. And I think we all need color in our lives these days. From the Raoul Dufy archives, La Jungle, it was a pattern that we introduced in January as wall covering with huge success, and we've now introduced it as textile. So you can see how very organic the process is when we design. We start with one category, and then if we feel comfortable with it, we have great reactions, then we will introduce it in outdoor, wallpaper, etc. Raoul Dufy, just to refresh, is a French artist from the beginning of the 20th century, a contemporary of Matisse, Picasso. So he's living in a time where Paris sees an explosion of creativity and artists and designers collaborating. And we've been going back into his archives for the past 6 years. So it's become very, very addictive. It's like an archaeologist going back, digging in, and always finding new treasures. When we work with an archival collection, it's a very different process than working with contemporary designers. We really bring back the spirit of the collection. We don't make any changes. We only allow ourselves changes in the base cloth and in the colors. So this is a little bit about what we are introducing for this fall. And then I'd like to sort of wrap up our presentation today with talking about custom, because custom is something that is quite unique to Christopher Farr cloth. So all our printed designs could be customed. And when we talk about custom, we talk about the capacity to change color, to change the base cloth, to reduce or enlarge the scale. And the ultimate is when we can take one of your designs, your ideas, and create them, produce them for you. So how do we do that? We work, I wanted to say we live at the printers, but we're there a lot. So we have control on the process when we are working with on a custom project. We usually will say, let's do a strike off, which takes us 10 days to create. And then it takes us about 4 weeks to 5 weeks for production once the design is is approved. One of the most important things is that we work with custom for big hospitality jobs, but we also do it for residential projects because we have no minimums and our lead times are really quick. So all you need to do is really work closely with your showroom, select the pattern, give us your colors, tell us what base cloths you'd like us to use. We can source base cloths for you, and then we can be on our way. So to really enhance our custom capabilities, we've created a kit. It's a box that the showrooms are gonna have in 1 month, and they can give it to everyone. It has a brochure talking a little bit about the process, giving you different examples and showing you exactly how you could custom the pattern with shorts and everything. We have a ring set with different base cloths. So you have a big, wide selection of base cloths from linens to Trevira to velvets, and also a kit with some samples of our designs printed on different base cloths. So this box will be available with the showrooms within 4 weeks from now. Here's a really good example of a client that used traveling light in a bathroom. So in order to create the durability aspect, we printed traveling light on vinyl. So this is just a way of making something possible and solving a problem. We can always also do custom. We find clients are doing custom when they want to make a connection in a room and they have different textures, and they pull one of our prints, give us their colors, and that print pulls the whole room together. But here's an example of a hotel room in Italy. And that's our design, Fleur Étoilée by Raoul Dufy. The client asked us to increase the scale of the pattern. So that's what we did. So there are different ways and ideas that we can explore with custom. So we're really good at it and we love doing it. And I think for me, when I think of custom, I think of luxury. I think the luxury is not necessarily about gold or something being very shiny, but it's about this one-off. It's about craftsmanship. It's about using these beautiful, precious materials. And especially when all this is done with love and passion. So I think this is sort of brings us to you, Jennifer. Thank you very much for having me. And if there are any questions or comments, I'd love to try to answer.
Okay. Thanks, Mikhail. That was great. I just want to let everyone know that we do have all of the new collection here readily available to you here in the showroom. And if anyone has questions for Mikhail, if you want to go ahead and type them in the chat, we are checking it. So I'm ready for you. Don't be shy. No one can see you. And you know, it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to get with you. What time is it at your house, Mikhail?
It's no, first of all, we're in the office. So we're working
in your office.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was your house.
Oh, thank you. We're working a hybrid format. So we're working a little bit in the studio, a little bit at home. So we're sort of alternating, but we are in the cutting room actually. And behind me, there are all these boxes with cuts of every fabric that we have. So when we need to send CFAs and we need to send returnables, we can do it, we can expedite it and do it very quickly. So
Nice.
we try to be part of this whole process.
And what time of day is it?
It's 5:30 in the UK.
PM.
So yeah, it's the end of the day for us.
Great. Well, thank you for sticking around and hanging out with us. I appreciate it.
Great.
And I believe that you said that the custom box is going to be here in about 1 month.
In 1 month, and you will have a good amount of boxes. So anyone that can use them, please reach out. Love you to use it. We also will have the brochure as a digital format if you just want it as an introduction. So let us know. We are really keen on doing custom, developing that. And I think once you get it and you see how easy it is to do, it's effortless. There's no minimums. Lead times are very quick. Why not?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the chat. Please let me know if you want any information on the custom box when it arrives. And then anyone who is interested in doing that, I hope I spelled everything right. Anyone who's interested in doing that, Paul and I are here in the showroom. And Mary, okay. It's not digital, it's an actual box.
Yeah, but we can send the brochure. We can send it right away to
Yeah.
you. So we'll make sure we send you the brochure tonight, the digital version.
I'll email you for your address and we'll get that out to you, or we can, yeah, do we want to do a digital one to her email?
Yes, I'll send you a digital version so then you have it for your clients.
Perfect. Thank you. Do I have any other questions before Mikhail goes home for the evening? No? Okay. Well,
Okay, great. Lovely to see, not to see you, but be part of this process. Good luck next week with your elections. We'll be watching, and good night from London.
thank you, Mikhail. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining us today.